Moonshiners, Season 14, Episode 13. Sweet Mash and Wild Bubbles Opening Scene. Appalachian sunrise camera glides over the misty Appalachian foothills, the sun piercing through the morning fog. A rooster crows in the distance as stills heat up and boots crunch gravel. The narrator speaks. In the backwoods of Appalachia, the law might be just over the ridge, but tradition runs deeper than the roots in the holler. This week, one Shiner revives a Southern classic, while two more take a gamble on a drink that's more California than Carolina. Segment 1. Tickle's sorghum resurrection location. Franklin County, V. Tickle, grinning behind his trademark beard, stands next to a rusty truck loaded with stalks of sorghum cane. Tickle. Most folks don't know sorghum ain't just for syrup. You can make liquor from it too, if you know what you're doing. With the help of his cousin Joey, Tickle unloads bundles of the sticky, fibrous stalks into a makeshift press. It's a Frankenstein contraption, a car jack bolted to a steel frame, dripping green juice into old milk jugs. Tickle. Back in the day, mountain folks would use whatever was on hand. Corn got expensive, sugar got scarce, sorghum kept the stills running. But ain't nobody messin' with it no more. I say it's time to bring it back. The sorghum juice, fresh and sweet, bubbles as it's funneled into a 30-gallon fermenter. Tickle throws in a special mix of yeast he calls the ghost of Granddaddy's mash, then seals it tight. Segment 2. Mike and Jerry's kombucha experiment location. Eastern Tennessee. Over the border in Tennessee, Mike and Jerry are in their barn, which looks more like a chemistry lab this week. On the table are bottles of green tea, raw sugar, mason jars full of cloudy, jellyfish-like organisms, SCOBYs. Mike. Kombucha's all the rage with the yoga crowd. But we ain't making no health drink. We're making it strong. Jerry. Hard kombucha. Still funky, still weird, but with a real kick. Moonshiner style. They heat gallons of sweet tea and let it cool before dropping in SCOBYs harvested from Jerry's kitchen. Mike lifts one with a grimace. Mike. Looks like a damn alien pancake. While the first fermentation begins, Jerry is working on a separate distillation setup to extract the alcohol from one of their older batches. They plan to blend the fermented tea with fruit juice and spike it to around 7% ABV. Their goal? A bubbly, wild, high-proof Appalachian kombucha to sell to the college crowd up in Asheville. Segment 3. Tickle's fermenting trouble. Back in Virginia, Tickle and Joey check on the sorghum fermenter. The air is thick with a molasses-like scent, but something's off. Joey. It's bloated like a bullfrog. That ain't right. They open the lid. A geyser of foam explodes out. The wild yeasts Tickle used were too aggressive. His fermenter's on the edge of infection, and if he doesn't fix it soon, the entire batch is ruined. Tickle. Well, hellfire. It's either gonna be the best mash I ever made or a science experiment gone wrong. Tickle decides to siphon off the liquid and distill a small test run early. He wants to see if there's anything salvageable. Segment 4. Wild yeast and bubbly problems. Meanwhile, Mike and Jerry's kombucha is fermenting faster than they expected. The barn is starting to smell like a sour beer factory. Jerry. This SCOBY is gone turbo. They taste the first batch, tart, funky, and about 2.5% alcohol. Not strong enough yet. Mike adds fruit puree, blueberry, ginger, and lemon, and extra sugar to jumpstart a second fermentation in swing-top bottles. Mike. We give it a few more days in the bottle, and boom. Champagne of the hills. But Jerry is worried about the pressure. Kombucha can build gas quickly, and if they don't monitor it, the bottles could explode. They leave the bottles overnight in a cooler and cross their fingers. Segment 5. Tickle's test run. Tickle fires up his still and lets the sorghum mash bubble through the copper coil. The liquor drips out clear, with a grassy, earthy aroma. Tickle: ain't nothing like corn. Got a twang to it, but it's good, real good. He takes a sip and smiles. Tickle: that's syrup lightning, son. The test batch proves drinkable and unique. Encouraged, Tickle begins distilling the full mash the next day, carefully watching for any signs of spoilage. He even adds a charred oak spiral to give it a little barrel-aged complexity. Tickle: we ain't just making shine. We making history. 6. Kombucha bombshell. Next morning, Mike and Jerry open the cooler and chaos erupts. Zone of the swing-top bottles has exploded overnight, leaving a sticky mess across the walls. Jerry: told you we was raising a monster. They inspect the remaining bottles, carefully releasing the pressure. A hiss escapes each cap like opening a bottle of champagne. Mike: this stuff could blow a raccoon's whiskers off. They pour out a glass of the blueberry blend. The fizz is lively, the flavor tart and sweet. Burn with a straw. Jerry: we might be on to something. Mike: it's like hillbilly rosé. They bottle the rest in plastic to prevent future explosions and head into Asheville with a cooler full of mountain butch. Segment 7. Appalachian Tasting Showdown. Back in Virginia, Tickle hosts a tasting at a local farm-to-table festival. He pours his sorghum shine into little mason jars for curious tasters. Local farmer: tastes like molasses met a campfire. Old-timer: reminds me of 1973. Tickle beams with pride. Several vendors show interest in buying jars under the table for resale. Meanwhile, Mike and Jerry set up at a flea market outside Asheville with a nondescript fermented tea sign. Young couples, hipsters, and curious drinkers stop to sample the fizzy kombucha. College kid: this is actually kinda amazing. It's like probiotic but party ready. They sell out of 30 bottles in under an hour and make plans to scale up. Final segment: Moonshiners Innovate Narrator. From sweet sorghum revival to hard kombucha revelation, the Moonshiners prove that innovation and tradition can brew side by side. Whether it's backwoods barrels or Yoga Town bubbles, one truth remains: Appalachia runs on shine. As the credits roll, Tickle toasts a jar of sorghum liquor beside a bonfire. Mike and Jerry clink plastic bottles of kombucha, laughing in the back of their truck. Tickle, to the camera: they say the past is past, but in these hills, we drink it every day. PENING sequence. Cue slow banjo riff. Aerial shots of Appalachian backcountry drift over fog-covered hollers and winding dirt roads. Cut to hidden still sites, rusted barrels, and firewood stacks. Narrator: Southern drawl. In the backwoods of Appalachia, old habits die hard, but the shine keeps evolving. This week, Tickle's out to make sorghum shine a household name, while Mike and Jerry tiptoe into hipster territory with a hard kombucha experiment. Sweet or sour, the future of moonshines never tasted like this. SCNE1. Tickle's FARMYRD INSPIRE on Franklin County, Virginia, early morning. Tickle walks a muddy trail behind a weather-beaten barn. Chickens cluck and a dog barks in the distance. Tickle, to camera: when I was a kid, Granny used to make biscuits with sorghum syrup so thick it'd stick your jaw shut. But folks forgot about it. Well, I ain't forgot. I'm bringing sorghum back, just a little stronger. Tickle pulls the lid off a 5-gallon bucket filled with thick, dark syrup tickle. This stuff's sweet, it's earthy, and if you know what you're doing, it'll shine brighter than white lightning. Cut to Tickle meeting with his longtime partner, Henry, at a rustic still site tucked into a hillside. Henry, sorghum syrup? You sure that'll ferment? Tickle, that's the trick. It's thick as molasses, but there's enough sugar in it to send you to the moon, if you can get it to play nice. SCNE 2. Mike and GRRY go BOOCH. Asheville, NC. A modern-day kombucha brewery with prone tanks, wild fruit infusions, and workers in aprons. Mike and Jerry walk through, looking very out of place. Mike feels like we just walked into a science experiment. Jerry, I thought kombucha was just spoiled tea. They meet with Tasha, a kombucha brewer with tattoos, a lab coat, and a big grin. Tasha, it's a fermented tea. Yes, but we can crank the AV up. You guys want to moonshine it? We can make it boozy. Real boozy. Narrator. Mike and Jerry are fixin' to fuse two worlds, Appalachian outlaw and urban alchemy. And if they pull it off, they'll be the first to make kombucha kick like corn liquor. SCENE 3. So are JHUMEXPRIMENTS Tickle and Henry start working with the syrup. They mix it with warm water and malted barley in a repurposed 55-gallon drum. Tickle. First problem. It don't dissolve easy. Second, it wants to rot before it ferments. The men stir the mash by hand, the syrup sticking to everything like glue. Henry, this is stickier than a preacher's sermon. Tickle smirks, wiping his hands on his overalls. Tickle, a good shine, don't come easy, brother. He adds wild yeast and some cracked corn to kickstart fermentation. Narrator, using natural yeast from wild air and a technique borrowed from sour mash whiskey. Tickle's got 7 days to see if he's crafted gold or a sticky disaster. SCENE 4. BOOCH in DUBAC Mike and Jerry return to their Tennessee distillery with a load of scobies, green tea, sugar, fruit, and ginger. They set up a side fermentation tent. Mike, we got that backwoods whiskey DNA. Now let's add some hipster soul. They steep tea, mix in sugar, and drop scobies into glass fermenters. Jerry dumps in mango and jalapeno. Jerry, jalapeno booch. Gotta have a little fire with your fizz. Days later, they spike it with champagne yeast to increase the alcohol content. Narrator by adding high-octane yeast and aging it cold. Mike and Jerry aim to make kombucha that'll turn heads and curl mustaches.